road to the house was barely a road at all. Twisting, cracked, eaten by weeds. Daniel Grayson drove with both hands tight on the wheel, headlights barely cutting through the fog. His phone was dead. GPS had lost signal 20 miles ago, but the letter had been clear. Come claim what's yours. A crooked gate marked the entrance. Black iron rusted through, hanging open like a gaping jaw. Beyond it stood the house. 3 stories of rotting wood and ivy, with a roof that slouched like tired shoulders. It loomed against the stormy sky, its windows watching him like a half-buried corpse. Daniel killed the engine and sat for a moment, letting the silence settle in into his chest. Breathing. This place had belonged to his great-uncle Elias, a man no one in the family talked about anymore. The inheritance was unexpected, and Daniel, broke, drifting, had jumped at the chance. He stepped out into the rain, his boots sinking into the mud. The front door creaked open without resistance. The air inside was thick with dust and time. Cobwebs draped the chandelier like funeral veils. The grand staircase rose like a spine, flanked by portraits of grim-faced ancestors with pale eyes and even paler skin. He set his bag down and wandered room to room. Each one was darker than the last, filled with antique furniture and a silence that felt alert. Upstairs, he found a bedroom that had once belonged to Elias. Inside, a journal waited on the nightstand, a leather-bound, cracked with age journal. Curiosity outweighed caution. He opened it. The first page was dated 20 years ago, the handwriting sharp, deliberate. The house listens. The house remembers. The house chooses. Daniel frowned and flipped ahead. Voices in the walls again. They say my name now. He closed the book. Behind him, the floor creaked. That night, wind howled outside, but inside, the silence was worse. Daniel lay in a guest bed, the journal heavy on the floor beside him. He told himself the whispers he'd heard earlier were just old wood and older memories. Houses like this groaned. At 3:12 a.m., he woke with a start. There was a thump in the hallway, then another. He sat up slowly. The air was colder than before. His breath puffed out in the dark. He wrapped a blanket around his shoulders and opened the door. Nothing. But the hallway seemed longer. The shadows stretched unnaturally. "Hello?" he called out. No answer. When he turned to go back inside, the door was gone. Where his room had been was now a blank wall. Panic bloomed in his chest. He spun around. The hallway was unfamiliar. Doors in places that hadn't existed earlier. Portraits he hadn't seen before. A child with hollow eyes. A man smiling too wide. The wallpaper was different. The house was changing. A whisper drifted down the corridor. His name, Daniel. He backed away, then realized the floor behind him was gone. A drop into blackness, like a mouth waiting to swallow. He ran. Doors slammed shut as he passed. Laughter echoed. Children giggling. Too loud. Too many. He turned a corner and found a staircase. It spiraled downward. Without thinking, he descended. He emerged into the basement. It wasn't empty. In the center of the room was a circle drawn in ash and bone, candles burning low. Symbols covered the floor, charcoal and blood. The stench of rot clung to everything, and at the end of the room stood a mirror. But the reflection wasn't his. It was Elias, mouth sewn shut, eyes wide and pleading. Behind Elias, something else stood, its face stretched too tight, head twitching like it couldn't stay still. Daniel stumbled back. The mirror cracked, the candles blew out, and in the dark, something breathed in. He woke on the basement floor, alone. The circle was gone, the mirror whole. The journal lay beside him, open to a page he hadn't read. If you're reading this, you've seen them. That means the house has accepted you. Daniel flipped through the rest, desperate now. The ink grew erratic, smudged with shaking hands and panic. They demand remembrance. The Grayson blood binds them. One must stay so others may go. His stomach turned. Elias hadn't just lived there. He fed the house, maintained the curse, a prison. Daniel had walked right into it. He sprinted up the basement stairs, but the door wouldn't open. He rammed into it again and again until it finally gave. The house was no longer pretending. The hallways bent in impossible ways. Rooms bled into each other. Gravity tilted. A grandfather clock ticked backward, and above it a chandelier hung with ropes instead of crystals. He had to end this. In the parlor, he found kerosene lamps. He smashed one open, dousing the floor, the stairs, the portraits. The spirit screamed, shrieking like wind through shattered glass. He struck a match. The house begged in its own language. Grief and rage and hunger poured over him like a tide. He dropped the flame. Fire exploded outward. Faces flickered in the smoke. Dozens of them. Children, women, Elias, all watching him burn their prison. He ran upstairs, down corridors. Every door led back into the house, back to the basement, until finally, a window. He leapt. Glass shattered, wood splintered. Fire licked at his back as he hit the ground and rolled through the wet leaves in the mud. Behind him, the house twisted, almost convulsing, its shape warping as flames devoured it. The screams didn't stop until they did, and all that remained was smoke. It took Daniel a week to find civilization. No one believed his story. Authorities found nothing on the hill where the house once sat. No bones, no foundation, just scorched earth and Lake Lanier. He left town, rented a room across the state, changed his name, tried to forget. The first sign came 3 nights later. A knock at the door. No one was there, just a single charred page from Elias's journal on the doormat. One must stay so others may go, it said. He locked the door, checked the windows, then the whispers began, soft at first, then louder. The mirror in the bathroom began to distort. Sometimes he woke with ash on his hands. Other times, muddy footprints led from the front door to the bed where he lay. Each night, the knock returned, always at 3:12 a.m. Once a voice whispered through the keyhole. Elias, barely audible. You brought it with you. Daniel survived the fire, but the house didn't die. It just moved.
Well, that's not good news for Daniel, is it? Maybe him and his uncle will become better acquainted. Maybe not. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. Till next time, good night.